Good evening, GGL member, to a playoff edition of the Mac and the Moose Show. Do it a little different today. We're basically going to cover real quickly from week 14 and then spend the rest of the episode previewing. So let's jump right into it, Mac.
Yes, first game up. A little slow here. Loading up here. So the first game up was the irrelevant game. I thought I didn't put this on, but I guess I put it first. Me versus Kyle. That was tough, but really irrelevant game. Not much to touch on here. But anything you got on this? It's really just a nothing game.
Carter's just lucky that Kyle went in somewhere else, or else it can't come down to a shutout. Oh yeah, obviously good for Kyle, I guess, picking up the extra. Not much to talk about for this one.
Not much to talk about. Next game up, another one. Nothing really to talk about. Logan versus Carter. Obviously, I was wrong in my prediction. Logan going off here.
Yeah.
I don't. Not much here. Nothing I can really touch on. So,
one thing I will say, Mac, not to toot our own horn, did kind of call this, Carter 3-0. I didn't think he'd go 0-11, but I did say, and I know you said too, that we had a team was flawed. Well, looks like this one. He lost 11 straight. Not Shadow Realm, though. Who would have thought a 11-game losing streak and you avoid the Shadow Realm? So that's him.
I did see. I went back a little bit, and I did see. Who was it? I think Bill, or maybe it was Mitchell. Started out by saying that Carter won his first 3 games, looking at the playoffs, was ready to go, and then lost 11 straight after that, only hitting 100 one time.
That's incredible.
Next game up, we had Josiah versus Justin. We kind of called this one right away. This was pretty simple. I don't think anybody in that East Division is going to be outscoring Josiah.
Obviously some things to happen for him to make the playoffs, including beating Josiah. I will say it got better as the year went on. But yeah, talk about the playoffs coming up, but Josiah seems obviously very strong and impressive run to get back into the playoffs. He will have that championship hangover, miss the playoffs. So.
Yeah, not working well for him. Next game up, this is where we're getting into it here. This Teddy versus you. Is this a league low here?
It might be, yeah. I mean, obviously, it was not a great week for me. I put the best 9 players I could, but that wasn't a very strong effort. I will say it does kind of bring me at least Teddy had to go out and had a really good week and scored 120 points. So he, did earn the win, which obviously clinched the playoff. We'll talk about his team a lot here as we preview the play. But I mean, kind of a easy one to predict here with my team setting up for the playoffs. Having a few guys on by. So
yeah, that was really tough. But again, just a game that was not even necessary for you. You're moving on, getting that first round bye here, looking good. So I think you're going to be doing quite all right here. Next game we have up was one of our game of the weeks. This was Eddie versus Walt. We actually both got this right. I changed my mind halfway through my decision, going with Walt and switched to Eddie, and it worked out for me.
Yeah, so obviously we'll spend a good amount of time on Eddie's team when we playoffs, and so great win for him. I think I want to spend most of my time for the matchups that didn't go the Walt and mid, and they lost because obviously, we won't be talking about their teams moving. And for Walt, obviously he kind of had a little bit of bad luck, quarterback injury, having to play Huntley, and then Huntley got injured. And really, that trade he made with Carter to get Lamar Jackson, Lamar just wasn't very good this year. He was hurt. Even when he was healthy, he definitely did. But for Walt to have a home matchup and have to play Hunt and Davis Mills, who basically didn't play either. It was kind of Texans did that. So a really tough effort from Walt. But, I think his team, although it had a loss, it definitely kind of faltered down the stretch. I think he, unfortunately had Kupp get injured. Like I said, Lamar Jackson get injured. I don't think his team's as deep as it needed to be because he really just had to finish 500 to make the playoffs, and he wasn't able to do that. So, yeah, huge credit to Eddie for nowhere and earning the playoffs spot. But if you're Walt, you got to be very disappointed. You have a roster with the best tight end in Travis Kelce, really, really good running back in Delvin Cook. You have a few deepers in Smith and Kirk, and you just couldn't figure out the quarterback position. He's been really good, and I know he had Connor before, but his team is really, really good. But pretty obvious that in this league, you got to have some quarterbacks that are above average, and Walt to do that this year. So yeah, he's going home and ready. Like I said, we'll talk a bunch about Eddie's team here in a minute. So unfortunately, and great one for Eddie. What do you have?
Eddie's moving on. I think the same thing. Unfortunately, this year alone, how many quarterbacks going down this year that's just really screwed everyone over. Unfortunately, Walt got the short end of the stick on this one, as many others in this league did. But yeah,
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say that's a tough loss. Great win for Eddie though, especially coming out. I didn't think he was gonna get it there at the beginning, but ended up pulling out.
I'm interested in for next year is it might be a really strategy to obviously most, not all, but owners try to get a quarterback or two in the first 3 rounds. And usually there's a run of quarterbacks that happens, and if you haven't picked up at least preferably 2 by about the 4th round, you're in a lot of trouble. My question would be is because of the elite quarterbacks this year, coming into next year, just as important to pick up a third quarterback very early. Most teams get their 2 quarterbacks and they kind of wait until the draft to pick up their third. They're thinking, well, these are my 2 studs, and I'll pick up a lottery pick or a player like in the 10th round. This year showed if you didn't a second quarterback, and sometimes teams don't even draft, but how many quarterbacks were on the waiver wire this year and just people didn't even pick because they're so bad? You were better off playing at times player. So I guess my question is, if next year quarterback in the 1st round, quarterback in the 2nd, and then come the 4th or 5th round, quarterbacks trying to go off the board, will maybe pick up the 3rd quarterback that early, because obviously it will provide very, very important depth and just as important some trade bait. So think about, because someone like Walt, I don't have the draft board in front of me now, but on the 3rd quarterback that was somewhat decent, he wouldn't have had to rely on Marcus Mariota. He could have went to somebody else, and that might have made the difference. Yeah, just something kind of I was thinking about. So
yeah, especially with how many receivers have been going off this year. The amount of receivers scoring 15 to 20 points a game, really isn't that hard. Between Devonta Smith, DK, putting some numbers up there, Mike Williams. You have a lot of people there that were putting up really large numbers. So I think, you in a league like this, if you just have a year where everyone's getting hurt, everyone's going down with concussions, everything along those lines, your quarterbacks are the most valuable thing in this game, and this is a perfect example of it. Even just starting Mike White and Justin Herbert saves him the game.
Right.
Then, of course, he says everybody else go off too, but really is. It's starting to become. I will say I call it. I want for the wide receiver game this year, but it is a quarterback league for sure.
Well, I think that perfectly transitions into the important game, which is this game, because it's the same thing. Mitchell had not been able to figure out the quarterback position. Trevor Lawrence in a trade, but the fact that he doesn't have a second quarterback the whole year, ended up catching up and costing them. Really big win by Bill. We're obviously going to talk about his team in depth here when we preview the playoffs. Talk about Mitchell's team. I really, and I know we won't get an actual answer for sarcastic about it, but I really do want to know what. I sent the screenshot 7 picks, okay, in the draft. And you can nitpick anybody, but if you look at Mitchell's, he went Deshaun Watson, okay, who he dropped, I believe, before the season. So that's a wasted pick. He took Baker, which I guess in theory, Baker coming in the year, there were some people that thought of him. Then he went back defenses, and I just don't understand. And it was Colts. He took first, then the Ravens. The Colts isn't exactly like a juggernaut defense. I'm not sure where they were ranked coming in the year. The Ravens, I can kind of get they're usually a pretty good defense, but still they're so good that you had to take a second defense. Kicker, obviously you need a kicker, but he had Mark Andrews, so I don't know why he decided to pick up who ended up not doing anything. He dropped him pretty early on. And then the most puzzling, you draft Odell Beckham Jr., which again, maybe you just didn't like anybody else, but it was pretty obvious that he wasn't coming back until the playoffs, pretty much known. Yeah, Mitchell to roster him their season. So basically,
the entire season.
Mitchell decided, so he basically decided right now is Terry McLaurin on a bye, good player. Cordell Patterson on a bye, good player. Then you have Andy Dalton, who really doesn't need to be rostered. Beckham Jr. doesn't need to be rostered. Ken Walker, obviously good player, hurt. And you have the Colts defense. So he just kind of wasted, in my opinion, multiple. I don't think he'll give us a straight answer, but I wouldn't know on why he did that.
But this is also coming from the guy who was also throughout the season starting Jameis Winston when he was benched. Having someone else, having a quarterback on his bench while he has Russell Wilson that was getting 11 points a game. Yep. So that's tough. But good for Bill. Bill's moving on. Luckily got the nice show out by Russell Wilson. Tua kind of let him down there a little bit. But
yeah, that was crazy. Sunday night, you had Tua in the first half and basically put up a goose egg. Same with Jalen Waddle. Tua, for Bill, thankfully came out and at least had a second half. But then you turn around and you have Mitchell, who just needs 14 points. Stevenson, who's good enough to get it done, and then he gets injured. So, I mean, really, Bill, I wouldn't say luckily snuck in, but his Mitchell actually could have once again survived and found a way to win a game he probably didn't deserve. But Bill was able to sneak it out, and a big win for him. So.
Well, yeah, and how fitting to have Russell Wilson start and put up 32 for him when he hasn't done it basically all season for Mitchell, and Mitchell picks him up, drops him, and then comes out and puts up a 30 spot on you. So now we're jumping right into the playoffs here. So playoff round 1, the outlook, first game up. We have Eddie versus Logan. I think Logan's going to take this one, but it does work with him having DK and Tyler Lockett. So those might offset some points for him there, but going to need a big game from Mike White and Justin Herbert again.
Yeah, so the updated projections I have here are Logan 21 and 112 for exactly what it's showing. So yeah, I mean, projection wise, Logan has the advantage. We'll say we'll talk about it. Like I said, we were going to, and that he made the playoffs is very impressive. I think a large part of that is definitely because Justin Herbert has kind of become a top 10 quarterback again. And started to play like a top 5 quarterback again, and obviously, we talked about it's a quarterback league. I will say the rest of his team is kind of. I think DK and Lockett provided him a very strong base for his receiving core, but in the playoffs of Josiah or Logan, you can't have base players. You can't have guys just get 10 points a game unless you have two absolute studs at the position. And although Mike White has looked better than maybe he's not an absolute stud. And then you add in the fact of, again, you want no upside. That's kind of Jamal Williams. Jamal Williams might fall in the end zone and get 30 yards, but he doesn't really have the upside.
I don't know about that, though. I don't know, because Jamal Williams, I think right now he's getting the most touches. What I just see, he has the most rushing touchdowns by a running back in the league right now with 12. Like, the guy's going to get in the end zone, and that's, I mean, putting 9 there on his spot, I don't know if I really even – I think he's going to go at least for 13 to 15. So that could change the game a little bit.
So I guess more big picture. So, like, he might beat Logan with that type of production. But so when I say a base, like Lockett, DK Metcalf, like the combination will provide him at like a basement or a floor of, let's just say, points. And then your point, Jamal Williams, his floor be 10 points, 40 yards and a touchdown, and he might get up to 16. His ceiling is not 30 points.
Right.
Like some of the other running backs, most likely. So that's where, I think that's where you're going to have to look at some of the other teams in the playoffs. And, one other thing's really important to note is look at his beat. Okay. His season, his best win, he beat me. I'll give him that. But his other wins, Carter, Hill, and then he beat you. So his wins, again, are you usually not make the playoff. He beat me. I'm a playoff team. He beat not a playoff team. He beat Carter, not a playoff team. He beat Kyle, not a playoff. And he beat Walt, not a playoff team. So he's got 6 wins in the year game against guys not in the playoffs.
I also will say, now that we're talking about the East here, I did look today. What was it? 67% of the East Division didn't go over 500.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know what all this talk is about the East being better. Maybe it's because they're trying to do head-to-heads. I don't know what it is, but the fact that half of their more than half of their division didn't go over 500, and you had 3 guys that were 5 and 8 going into a playoff spot. It's pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, so I guess,
but
again, that kind of talks to my point. Is I think the reason he made the playoffs is because unlike someone like Justin had a very I'll use Walt as the better example. Walt's team outside, in my opinion, like he drafted a better team in a division where you just needed to go 6 and 8 to make the playoffs. And consistently was good. Like their floor was never like to just survive certain weeks by not having terrible. And then he beat up on really, really easy competition. Again, he only had 1 win against me. That was the only playoff team he beat. So, long story short, I think big picture-wise, I think would it completely found a way to beat Logan? No, it wouldn't. Logan is really struggling to make a decision at quarterback. I'll talk about Logan's team in a second. But Long, don't think there's any way Eddie could be that as an actual championship team, just based on the fact that he hasn't beaten anybody. But if you like, you do the resume that they do in college basketball or football. Eddie has spent his big wins are me and then nobody else. So I don't know if you have anything to add Eddie's team before we talk about.
No, I think the only thing he really has is that DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett kind of hold up there, and then he's going to need a big game from James Conner and Jamal Williams. Besides that, I mean, Mike Williams is going to put up some numbers, but he's, again, kind of a hit or miss. But you just really want to have that Justin Herbert, Mike Williams hookup for most of your points there, but not much there. He's got a good team, but it's just not very strong.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't. I think, like I said, I think he could upset and win a playoff game, and maybe even give Josiah a run for his money. But for him to string together 3 straight weeks beating quality opponents after not being able to do it all of the regular season, it would be a pretty big shot to me. But on the other hand, we have Logan's team, who obviously had a very regular season, and I think his roster. We'll take quarterbacks out of it for now because he still has some decisions to make. But his core players are really, really good. Derrick Henry's
really good.
Now he does have a weird situation going on because he has 3 guys he could play in Wilson and obviously Deco. I think that's how you say his last name. All guys are kind of the same in my opinion. Where there's upside to them. And there's also the chance they could get you 0
right.
The other really interesting thing is obviously he's benched Hill. He's not going to bench Chase. He does have Hopkins on his bench. You saw that.
Yeah. But with those, I don't know if you even start him over Jamar Chase or Michael Pittman for that point there. Because, you're going to run Tyreek Hill for sure. You're going to run Jamar Chase, especially now having Tyler Boyd down. You're going to have Michael Pittman. I still think he's going absolutely off. So those 3 people, yeah, where do you fit him in? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I think the other thing, the way I look at it is, again, talk about big picture too, as well as this week. So this week, Logan might make the right decisions, but long term, again, 3 playoff games, I think at one point going to slip up and he's going to start running back. He's going to start the wrong receiver, or we'll move to quarterback, start the wrong quarterback because he's looking at Geno Smith, who as of now he's going to start. Obviously, Jared Goff has played pretty well. You're probably going to keep him, but he's talked about starting Purdy, who, is playing in a better offense. So he's got kind of 3 guys he could his other position. He's got good depth. I mean, that's what it comes down to. But he doesn't have a first lineup. So it's gonna be all about, can he make the decisions? And if he can do that, I think he's gonna have a really good East and possibly win the championship. But if he makes 1 and then for sure 2 mistakes, he could get bounced in the first round. That being said,
I'm still calling him. I'm still calling him out here. He's going to be. I think he loses this one to Eddie.
Oh, wow.
Just because, one, you have Tyreek Hill is going to be going to Buffalo, playing in the snow. I don't know if you're going to get those points from him now that I'm thinking about it. You're going to be playing Geno Smith. He's going to have DK and Tyler Lockett. Minnesota's got a decent defense. He's going to shut down whatever's going on in Indianapolis. I don't know. I guess he would have to start DeAndre Hopkins here. Maybe we're just trying to do this to get in his head a little bit. But there's going to be some thoughts he's going to have to be putting forth here because I don't know. Jared Goff. I do like that he is going off now. He's solidifying himself as a good quarterback, which I always thought he was. But I don't know. I think he's going down just because I don't want to see Logan get any further in the playoffs. But on the other hand, he probably could pull this off.
Yeah, I think I'm still going with him to beat Eddie. I think you look at the history of the season, and he beat Eddie twice, and like I said, has one quality win really. So I'm still taking Logan. And then, do we want to talk about Josiah's team in the East, or do we want to talk about the West matchup first? How do we want to do that?
Well, we'll just go next. I just put them all that they were in order. So next game up, really good game here between Bill and Teddy. I really like it, but I don't know. I think Teddy might take this.
Yeah. So obviously Teddy's team, is right time. He kind of had a few. And it wasn't like he wasn't winning game season. It was what we talked about as far as points for were pretty weak. Able to get some he not only played his team, but their roles have gotten better. So, for example, Christian McCaffrey went from the stud to one of the best offenses in the league. So he just got better. So it's going to make your team better. He's got David Montgomery, who was always a good running back, but about through the year, he started splitting carries with Herbert. Well, Herbert got hurt and Justin Fields. So it benefited him. So another player who's obviously Keenan Allen, right? Keenan Allen was hurt the whole year, and finally now that obviously is going to benefit his team. And then even someone like Brandon Ayuk has the number one target, receiving role, should get a lot of more targets for that offense with Deebo Samuel getting hurt. So I think something that you look at it, and that's a huge advantage for Teddy moving forward. However, he did have Kyler Murray get hurt, obviously out for the year with the torn ACL, and Kenny Pickett's questionable. I don't know his practice report from but let's see here. Pickett was limited. That at least gives you a little bit of hope. But Jalen Hurts is an absolute stud. I mean, that's for him. And I know he took him still in one of the first few rounds, but Hurts dropped quite a bit in our league. And Teddy was able to grab his a really strong team. Not sure what your thoughts on Teddy's team, but his team is getting hot at the right time.
That's what I'm thinking too. I think what's shown here when you're seeing the matchups against who they're going to be going up against, besides Justin Jefferson, there's not much that's going to be there for him. And that's why I think Teddy's going to be able to really take advantage. I think Brandon Ayuk's going to be scoring double digits. Keenan Allen will score double digits. And, of course, Christian McCaffrey is going to. I think that's going to take a little bit of pressure off of Kenny Pickett. But are the rest of his players – I mean, Jalen Hurts is going to go off, absolutely. What's that forecast for Chicago?
Cold.
You know if it's supposed to be very cold? So I don't
know if it's snow, but just
they had him going up for 30 points. That's pretty ridiculous.
That's actually, yeah.
I did not see that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think it's going to be a really good matchup. Really.
The projections.
What's that?
Said Deeds must have done the projections this year.
Dale's out here with Jalen points. 30 points projected. That is absolutely ridiculous. So yeah, I don't think the 30 is going to be going off. But again, when you're going over to Bill, you got Tua. I understand he just said today too that it snows in Alabama. So he says he's going to be ready, but it's going to be cold in Buffalo. So you're really taking away from the Jalen Waddle. You're taking away from Tua. Travis Etienne hasn't been all that great. Really, your shining moments here are going to be Justin Jefferson and if Chris Godwin can do anything. George Kittle's been shown he's more of a blocking tight end. He's not getting the points he was before, and Deshaun Watson is just trash.
I mean, I look at Bills similar to this is kind of a similar thing where I think if we were talking long, I think Teddy's team, if he had Kyler Murray, I would say 100% could win the league because his team is just even keel. Like you don't rely on like boom or bust players. Like Christian McCaffrey, bust player. He's an absolute stud. Jalen Hurts is not a boom or bust player. Brandon Ayuk now has a bigger role. Keenan Allen, when he's healthy, his role is. On the flip side, Bill has a little bit of boom or bust team, kind of like an Eddie, where Tua could go out and get points in a game, but he also had 0 points at halftime or whatever it was. ETN has become a boom or bust player. Jonathan Taylor, he now is healthy. Him, obviously, slight edge at the running back because of that. But Justin Jefferson, obviously, an absolute stud. Not call him bust. But then, Kittle, Waddle, and Godwin are all guys that can legit go out and get you 50 points. But it also would not shock me if they all got 2 points.
2 or 3 points, absolutely.
So long term, again, I think Bill could win this about it. He could even win the West and make it to the championship. But for him to string together 8 weeks where all of those players don't kind of shoot them and cause them to lose, that's where I think long term, I don't know. I mean, Bill's definitely got a great season. just don't know, based on where his team currently stands, it'll sustain the playoff run. So you mentioned Deshaun Watson. He looks terrible. I mean, Russell Wilson, I don't think he's going to play this week. I know he had that concussion. I don't know where his situation is. So I'll see if Russell comes back. Russell's had one good game. So again, it goes back to the fact he wasn't able to secure a second quarterback all year. And even though his second stud quarterback, I think I'm going to give the advantage to Teddy in this one.
I think I'm doing the same. I think I'm going to take Teddy over Bill. Sorry, buddy, but there's just too many holes there to kind of be filled. And after last week, too, I mean, Justin Jefferson was the only one really that went off for his team in order to give them that advantage over Mitchell. So a lot of those guys were scoring single digits, if not zeros, last week. So a little tougher, but I think we are going to take Teddy. Next up, we have Walt versus Mitchell. This is a toss-up as well. This is coming from the consolation bracket. Nobody got in here. Unfortunately, Mitchell 8-6 didn't make the cut, but
We'll say,
got
Mac,
Andy Dalton going again.
I think the consolation bracket is important, and the reason I say that is because you mentioned the quarterback position, and you're going to go in the next year, and I would say Patrick Mahomes will get ranked as top player, top quarterback. Josh Allen will have a strong
Josh Allen.
finish, but
Yeah.
Mahomes, Josh, you make the argument for Jalen Hurts at this point, or maybe Fields if he has a crazy tear at finish the season. He's been a pretty good fan. My point is, you want to get like a top 3 or 4 pick this year, because if you do, you're going to guarantee yourselves one of those quarterbacks. And as well, there's no we'll talk about, I think, at some point throughout the show, Josiah's team, but there's the reason why Josiah and I have the bye. It's because our quarterbacks combination has allowed us to just kind of have instant advantage each and every week. So we'll talk about the winner of this consolation game, and really, really important this year because obviously you'll take home a pick place, and I'm guessing it'll be you the first overall or somewhere in the top 4 picks, so you can get backs. But
Yeah, no, this is going to be a tough one here. I think I'm going to take Mitchell here. Davis Mills, Walt's team just turned into bad. It doesn't look good. There's nothing really there.
yeah, I'll run those. I'll take.
I'm gonna take a West. I'm gonna take a West matchup. I'm gonna take Mitchell on this one. Devontae Adams, Terry McLaurin, Amari Cooper, all great receivers. You're gonna have Cordell Patterson back. You've got some power there, but hopefully Trevor Lawrence can do it again and put up 40 for him to try to get this win. But we'll see. Next game up, we have Justin versus Carter. Kind of, I'm going to go Justin here. Pretty easy.
I mean, Carter hasn't won a game since week 3, so I do, but at the same time, he can't find a way to score over 100 points. I'll take J-Mac as well.
Oh, we do have Carl Havoc in the chat again. This guy just doesn't seem to quit. Now coming in with the now you like that Mitchell kid, huh? Said that we've all changed. So old Carl Havoc coming back in big with back in the chat here, loving it. But no, Jerry Jeudy, Juju Smith-Schuster, Christian Watson's been going off absolutely. So I think you're going to have some big games there. I just hope Tom Brady can actually pull it together, because he's just he's a hit or miss kind of guy. So what are your thoughts?
No, I think Justin's going to beat Carter. I think projection speaks for it. I think Carter's just going to go ahead and lose the rest this year, and I think take home probably it's got to be the longest losing streak. If he loses for you, think he's probably set the record. But
well, from what I've looked at, just going through some of the history, Dale had the longest losing streak with 10 losses last season. From what I've known, as 10-0. I think he's already got the 11 losses already.
Yeah.
I think he's already taken it.
Yeah,
so I don't know.
Yeah, it's a tough way to go end the year. I'll take J-Mac in this one.
As Carl Havoc says, if you listen really closely, you can hear Carter losing off in the distance already. We do have Logan in here, but fuck him. Next up, we have the second time irrelevant game of the week, me versus Kyle. So I'm going to take myself on this one now that I have everybody back.
You're going to be due to win this one. It's the next one.
Well, I didn't have Rodgers in. I didn't have Dylan. Right. I had a lot of players out. So now with Tyler Boyd down, I think T. Higgins is going to get a lot more looks. Of course, Stephon Diggs. I think everyone's just going to go off here, and I think I'm just going to put Kyle back down into where he belongs, down there at the bottom, where him and Carter can fight it off. Fight off for the don't, right? Isn't that how this is going to work?
I think so.
But so last week's game pick of the weeks. Before we get into that, why don't we talk? I know you wanted to talk about the 2 bye weeks with you and Josiah.
Yeah, just kind of want to do a big picture, kind of what me and his team kind of look like headed into the playoffs. So obviously, I with the East. I think it's very obvious. Stretch he's been on has been pretty impressive. He's got Joey Burrow and Patrick. I think that combination is going to make him I just don't think debate that he's the favorite to win the East. What's really helped get even better is the fact that Pollard has seemed to get better and better as he's done. And the Cowboys, despite still giving Zeke some goal line and other obviously work, they have started to feature Pollard. Him, Chubb, the quarterback, and then his receiving. We mentioned a floor for other teams. For Josiah, he needs a floor, right? Because the rest of his team provides such a high ceiling quarterbacks. He doesn't need his receivers to do anything crazy. He just needs them to not get 4 points apiece. He needs from 8 to 12 points. His running backs, quarterbacks, and then he even gets Geller back for the playoffs. So, and then Justin Tucker's his kicker, the Bills defense. So, yeah, I look at Josiah. When you look at no matter who ends up winning that first round game, they're going to have to play out of their mind. Or Josiah will have to lay an egg for him not to win the championship, win the Eastern Conference.
That's where I think so too. I think it's going to come down to you two, because just looking at your team with Josh Allen, Alvin Kamara, Barkley, CeeDee Lamb, St. Brown, Chris Olave, a little shaky at tight end with Taysom Hill, but again, you could be throwing him in there for that. You're putting him in there for if he goes in for that quarterback, you're getting that third spot, and then you have Justin Fields, Titans defense. That's going to be a little tougher. I think that's the best team in the league. You still got DJ Moore sitting on the bench, Gabe Davis, Curtis Samuel, Cam Akers is now getting that spot now. Now he's solidified there, but I think you got the strongest team in the league.
My biggest competition is the fact that I have to play Bill, or I'm not going to have an easy next game, and I don't think Josiah will. Eddie somehow upsets Logan, then obviously guy's path to the championship gets that much easier. My biggest concern is not my quarterbacks. It's not Barkley, obviously. It's not my receivers. It's Kamara a little bit. It just seems like the Saints don't know what the hell they're doing. And speaking of Saints, it's Taysom Hill. Taysom Hill, if he can get a bigger role and start to take advantage some of the carries he's been getting and can have a 30-point game. But if you can get me 15 points, 20 points, in addition to my quarterbacks, my receivers, and Barkley, I'm very I picked up the Titans defense because they're playing the Texans next. And then I picked the Jags defense because they're playing the Texans the next. So I kind of stacked my defense to be against the worst offense in the league. So I'm hoping that provides an additional boost of points. But yeah, I agree with you. I think Josiah will meet me and Chip, and I think from there it'll be a battle of which two quarterbacks play the best. Is Allen and Fields, or is it Mahomes? And it'll be interesting. The one thing I'll add to that is it's actually kind of interesting. Quarterbacks play each other next week, and it's going to be in Chicago. I really hope it's not one of those weird snowstorm games, because then now the answer to that is they both run a shit ton. So even if it is bad weather, they'll still get some yards. But yeah, it'll be interesting.
Oh, this Carl Havoc still at it over here. It's saying that I hit oxygen before and after shows. And also he said, what kind of name is Logan?
Yeah, so
pretty gay. Oh, and we have another person watching here. Hold on, trying to go through here. I'm also trying to pull up the
what's up, Harry?
Yeah, he's got another person in the chat. But I was going to look. So, what is the way to? Where's the bracket at? So that way we can see. So, who would you be playing next week? You have the winner of who?
Bill and Teddy.
Bill and Teddy, and so then he'll take whoever Logan versus Eddie. So that could be a tough one there. For you, that is. I think, unless if Eddie can pull off the win and take down Logan, I think Josiah has a walk into the championship. I think the only battle he's going to have is going to be if Logan wins. But then, yeah, I think you going up against Teddy or Bill is going to be pretty tough.
Yeah, no, it's going to. I think the West has all three teams legitimately. I think the East, I think it's between Logan and Josiah.
Yeah, I think so as well. Let me take down Old Harris here. All right, so going back in, we're going to look, just wrap it up here with our game of the weeks. We both, and Dale, both guessed correctly. We both took Bill, and we both took Eddie. So I moved to 8-5. You moved to 11-2. We get Dale up on the board. Sorry, buddy, the picture didn't save. But he's up to 2-0. I guess we're gonna have to figure something out here. I don't know what I'm gonna do yet. But that is our game of the week. Besides that, you have anything else?
No. Good luck to Eddie and Bill and Teddy as we get ready for round one of the playoffs. And like I said, consolation guys, still make transactions, still set your best team, because I didn't make the playoffs last year, but was able to take the consolation challenge because of it. So yeah, no, big week for everybody, and to round of the playoffs. So everyone that joined live too.
Yeah, Harris, thanks, buddy. And then Carl Havoc at it again. All right.